Hi, Chris Johnson here, CEO of the Urban Taskforce. This is our latest publication. This is a kind of poster-sized version of it. And this is all about us trying to get a new approach to faster approvals for mid-rise apartments. We believe that there's a great need to get more mid-rise apartments, it's not the really tall ones, across Metro Sydney. So we put out this publication extolling the virtues of this housing type and saying we need the government to have a code that helps encouraging this. The government has a code for two-storey houses, a housing code, and that encourages that in 10-day approvals. We believe we need a 30-day approval for buildings of this sort of height to really make this work. But I think there's a background that we really need to understand, and that is that there are many parts of the world that have these mid-rise apartments as part of their whole structure. If you look at Paris and the amazing streets of Paris and looking at views down streets, you can see the sort of scale you get with this mid-rise 6-storey, 8-storey type space, often the same height in the buildings as the width of the street. Or if you look at this view looking out over Barcelona, and you can see again the sort of grain and the grid of mid-rise apartments across Barcelona. Both of these cities used codes a long time ago to define the form and shape of the city. We believe that many Australians and Sydney-siders like to travel to these cities, Paris and Barcelona, because of this scale and the urban character you have. We can recreate quite a lot of this in Sydney if we have a code that encourages this building type to occur. But we also believe that there's some really important aspects to this type of 6-storey, 8-storey apartment. One is that these, we believe, are very family friendly. And here are some images of a series of apartments in Spectrum in Alexandria, showing how the buildings wrap around common space that mums and dads can look out from their own apartments, from the kitchen, from the balcony, with kids playing in a common garden down below, activities where Christmas might occur, Santa Claus comes. These apartments can really work for families. Many people think apartments are not family friendly. At this scale, they can be very family friendly. This next image is about garden apartments. It's a scheme that I was involved in myself when I was government architect, trying to produce some apartments that were not just long horizontal lines in an anonymous fashion, that this looks like a series of houses on top of each other rather than an anonymous pancake series of layers. And I think this is an important potential approach. The next image I want to really present is one about living within the treetops. The beauty of this medium scale for apartments is that it's the same height as the gum tree, giving a scale and a sense of shade in Victoria Park in Sydney. So you can see here that 6-storey apartments are well below the height of the canopy of the trees. This gives a shade, it gives a character, it cleans the air, and I think is an ideal way for this building type to occur. This next image is looking at East Village, which is also in the Victoria Park area. It shows an urban context where instead of a garden environment, this is about shops and bustling streets, and again this can work at this scale. But it's also, I think, this building type works well for older people, retirees. Senior citizens can actually live in this environment, and this image is of Breakfast Point showing this happen. And of course the shared facilities you get. This image shows them at top right by the Crown Group, but pools, shaded areas, barbecue areas, meeting areas are ideal for this building type. So what we've done is we've produced this code. This might look complex, but compared to most of the planning system, this is incredibly simple. It's only 2 pages. It sets down a series of headings that you can scan through, that you can see we're talking about a complying code for mid-rise apartments, how you apply the code, the context, the built form scale, sustainability, density, amenity, the number of bedrooms, how the projects work, location. This picks up all the key issues. You require an architect to design these buildings. There needs to be a design report. And there's a design review process for certain people within this category as well. So this should allow 30-day approvals, as opposed to the current 232 days it takes to get a building of $5 to $20 million approved. A much more rapid approach to doing this. The other thing that we think is really important about this building type, and I'll finish on this point, is that a lot of the walk-up flats built in the 60s and 70s are now reaching their use-by date. They were pretty substandard when they were built. There was very little garden space. They are only 3 stories high. They're walk-up flats. We have asked Turner Studio, Nick Turner's office, to look at how to renew these areas. We've taken a site in Cabramatta, and here you can see an aerial view of what that looks like, and we've asked Nick Turner's office to just overlay a new version. So if you overlay this image of the plan, it shows how a series of 8-story, 6-story buildings with bigger courtyards, more landscape area, can actually triple the number of apartments here, but still get more open space and much better amenity. Here, for instance, is an image from the corner of the existing site, so you can see what the buildings look like at the moment, and as you fade from there to a new version of what this could look like. Or if we go on the side of this particular block, you can see the existing buildings, a few cars parked in front, and again you can fade from that into taller buildings, more open space and a better amenity. So in summing up, we believe that this approach to 6 to 8 story apartments across Sydney is a really important one to support. The best way to support it is for the New South Wales Government to have a complying code, a code that means within 30 days people that fit all the rules can get a quick approval.